Hello, and welcome to the Ashland Family YMCA Healthy Living at Home series of exercise videos for your pleasure, enjoyment, and ongoing fitness. My name is Judd. My partner here is Lin, and we'll be doing a Yin Yoga class for you. For those of you who might never have experienced Yin, the fundamental aspect of Yin Yoga is the opportunity to relax more completely for a longer period of time than traditional yoga classes, where you might switch from one pose to another after 20 seconds, or 30, or 40, or 50. In Yin, the poses are held for 2 to 5 minutes, typically. So you get a really long opportunity to settle into the pose, to allow yourself to soften and your breathing to slow. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to switch every couple of minutes from one pose to another, but in those couple of minutes, you'll be hearing just the music, and you'll just be relaxing into the pose. We're just going to start like this, sitting in some comfortable way, closing your eyes now, and allowing yourself to just settle. When we do this, let's just start with a few deep breaths. In yoga, especially in Yin, deeply breathe in and slowly breathe out. Let the rhythm of the moment wash through you, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. And continue doing that for the next little while, minute or so. When we do move into different poses, don't move too quickly, don't move too deeply. Don't try to make a pose harder for yourself than it might start out to be. When you move in the direction I'm going to guide you, just settle at whatever the maximum comfortable place is for your body, and then just let your breath and your movement be slow, accepting of whatever constraints or limits your body might have today or any day. You will feel in every pose a settling in with gravity and a softening and lengthening of muscles and tendons that are under slight amount of stress by the stretching of the pose. Just go with those. The point of Yin Yoga non-moving is to allow your muscles like Atlantic City taffy to stretch slowly and almost immeasurably. Let's just open your eyes and settle down the length of your mat. I'm going to look to one direction, and my partner is going to look in the other direction with her body, so you can see both of us when we do different poses. But in this one, we're going to just rearrange yourself into a hands and knees position, one you've seen before in cat-cow in yoga classes. But here, once your hips are over your knees, let your arms come down to the mat. Allow your head to lower down to the mat, and just comfortably either put hand in hand or leave them resting on the mat in this melting heart pose, imagining that your heart is just being drawn downward toward the front of your chest and toward the mat. Your hips are up, and you are just going to settle in to where gravity takes you, supported by your knees and legs and arms and hands and head.
And then just easing your knees backwards, lengthening your body, and come down all the way to the mat. Your forearms are now parallel to each other and forward, palms somewhere near the front of your mat. And draw on the mat backwards to stretch forward out of your belly into a cobra pose, into a sphinx pose initially with your forearms on the mat. But for those of you who have done this before and want a little more extension or stretching in your back, come off your elbows slightly higher into a seal or cobra pose. If that becomes too much of a burden on you, then lower back down the elbow to the mat into Sphinx. And whichever pose you've chosen, just rest there, feeling the freedom to close your eyes in this and every other pose we get to once you settle into the position. And lowering your chest back toward the mat and walking your hands in and backward to draw yourself all the way into a child's pose. Hips moving toward your heels, finding your maximum position. And then just settling into it. And then just draw your fingers in an inch or two and press them forward to allow your hips to stretch a little further down toward your heels and resettle, allowing your body to softly lower with gravity. And then just coming up and allowing yourself to settle along the length of your mat, bringing your knees in and stacking your hips together. And slide your under leg back, and then bring the hand on top to look to clasp onto the foot behind you. And take that top leg and slide it straight forward. This is called a cattail in Yin Yoga. My partner is going to turn the other way so you'll see the front of the one pose and the back of the same pose with the two of us. And relax once you've settled into this, turning your head toward the foot that you're holding with your hand.
feeling free in this and every other pose to adjust yourself. If anything gets tight or straining, then just adjust. If your neck doesn't like to stay this way, adjust it forward. If your legs are getting stretched too much, ease one or the other back into the center of your body. And releasing your foot, easing your body around into the other direction. So if you were on your left hip to begin with, come around so you're now stacking over your right hip. Support yourself and slide the bottom leg, bent leg backwards. Straighten the other leg forwards. Holding with one hand behind you. Smiling for the camera if you've got a camera in front of you. And then turning your head to look toward the held leg behind you. Slow breathing, softness in your center, allowing pose and gravity to control the effects. And then releasing the back leg and bringing both legs around so that they are straight forward in front of you. Letting your hands slide on the outside of the legs forward and just allowing your body to tip forward, rounding down toward your toes to whatever is your maximum. Closing your eyes and just breathing into the pose. Deep inhales, feeling the belly expand against your legs, and slow exhales, softening and allowing your upper body to ease downward, stretching into the low back and across your hips. If this straight leg pose is a little harsh on your hamstrings or the back of your legs, feel free to bend your knees inward and upwards, just a little up away from the ground, and continue in this pose. And then drawing your spine upright and your hands sliding them in, bring the soles of your feet together. Hands around your toes.
And the same kind of effect as you allow your upper body to round down, softening your center, and coming to your maximum comfortable stretch downward without trying to force your back or your body further than feels comfortable to begin with. The softening and the stretching will happen once you settle in near your maximum. And drawing your spine upright again and opening your legs slowly, stretching out into a wide angle seated pose, and allow the legs to extend to your comfortable maximum and stop there, because this does affect your inner thighs. Bringing your right hand down on the inside of your right leg and lifting your left arm up, stretching it over toward those right toes, looking up underneath your left arm and settling in, just holding this sideways position. And slowly moving your arms into the center and walking them or sliding them over to the other leg. Left arm on the inside of the left leg, reaching the right up and over toward the toes, looking up underneath that arm and slowly allowing yourself to settle into your comfortable maximum position here.
And easing your arms back into the center and easing yourself back into the center of your mat. I'm going to go to my left and you're going to go to your right. And we're just going to come up onto our hands and knees briefly. And then I'm going to bring my right leg forward. She's going to bring her left leg forward. You can choose whichever you like. Bending the leg and sliding the opposite leg back straight behind our bodies. And then settle your hips in behind that bent forward leg. Your arms lowering down to the forearms, your head and chest sinking toward and beyond your bent forward leg. And just settling into this sleeping swan position. When you get to your maximum, which could be up above your leg or directly on it, just begin to breathe again deeply, feeling the expansion of your chest and belly against the leg, and easing with the breath, exhaling and sinking a little more deeply, stretching a little further with each breath cycle. And easing yourself up and reversing. The leg that was straight behind you, bring it in front, bend it in front. And the other leg that was bent before, slide it around behind you, straight down behind you. Let your arms once again settle in front. Your chest and belly lowering down toward the bent front leg and settling toward the mat wherever you end, and adjusting your hips to a comfortable place where you can lie for the next couple of minutes, just accepting the stretching that will go on. And pressing yourself upright, sliding that rear leg in front of you and taking both legs in front of you and allowing yourself to ease backwards onto your back, drawing both knees inward and wrapping your arms around them. And cinching up the legs that are bent inward toward your chest, finding your maximum and just resting here. every one of these sampler Yin Yoga poses, you've had the opportunity to feel the stretching that happens just by simply waiting and allowing yourself to enjoy those stretches. Right here, you're in the middle of this pose. You can draw your legs in a little bit more because your back and hips have stretched a little, holding the slightly more position for the next few seconds. And letting both feet come down to the mat. I'm going to take my left leg and cross it over my right. Lin is going to take her right and cross it over her left. And then we're both going to take the pair of legs and come toward your TV screen and toward the ground to whatever is your maximum stretch, sideways, laterally. We'll do the other side in a few moments. Your hand on that side, just place it on top of the legs. Gently augment the stretch downward to find your maximum and settle. Relax, soften, hold, and breathe. Easing those crossed legs back to the center of your mat, uncrossing and recrossing in the other direction, bringing the newly crossed legs down to the other direction, the other side of your body, the hand on that side, resting on top, gently augmenting the twist, and settling in for the next couple of minutes. easing the cross legs back one final time to the center and uncrossing, letting both legs slide down and out to a small angle with your mat. Let your arms just stretch up, one and then the other, and then angle down to your sides at an angle away from your torso. And we'll end in this pose. You can stay with it for the minute or so I'm going to, or you can stay for 10 minutes on your own. But at least spend a minute with me, noticing the effects of just the small set of Yin Yoga poses I've introduced you to today. Notice what feels stretched out. Notice what feels softer. Notice where there's a greater sense of openness. And still moving slowly to take yourself out of this class and into the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us. My name is Judd. This is Lin. We're glad we've been able to bring this to you today.